This is our Drawman 1969 project. Cameraman, assistant animator, and editor, Dan. Lead animator, Eric. Lead voiceovers, Ethan. And Chris. So before we get this started, I just want to give a quick shout out to my man Edouard. Let's not forget about Natasha, Augusto, Stephanie, Maxine, Thomas, my man Jorge, Emily, Jackie, Maggie, Emma, Paige, Jack, John, Katie, Caleb, Nick, Azul, and even Peter. I finally know everyone's name. Inspiration from Miss Boya's class, Sophia and PJ, Holden, Henry, and Reed from the opposite class, Miss Boye, and of course Miss Wilson.
Arts in 1969. To kick off the year, on January 12th, Led Zeppelin released its self-titled album. Critics initially disapproved of their rock blues style, but audiences loved it. Then, on March 10th, Mario Puzo released his novel, The Godfather. While the movie is better known and in most ways a better work, it was Puzo's novel that introduced the Mafia to pop culture. Only 3 weeks later, Kurt Vonnegut released his satirical novel, Slaughterhouse-Five. This novel told the journeys and experiences of a soldier named Billy Pilgrim in World War II. On June 3rd, Eric Carle released The Very Hungry Caterpillar. Despite having a very young target audience, it was the biggest selling book from 1969. Only 13 days later, Midnight Cowboy came out in theaters. While not depicting a conventional cowboy, with Jon Voight's and Dustin Hoffman's performances were well received. From August 15th to 18th, Woodstock took place. Woodstock was the most famous musical festival of all time and attracted 400,000 people, primarily young people, and included performances by the Grateful Dead, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Janis Joplin, The Who, Crosby, Stills and Nash, and Young, and to close, Jimi Hendrix. On September 23rd, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid was released in theaters. This movie is my football coach's favorite Western movie. More importantly, on September 26th, Abbey Road by the Beatles was released. This album included Here Comes the Sun, which, while far from the album's biggest hit upon release, has become known as one of the Beatles' best songs. On December 5th, the Rolling Stones released Let It Bleed. Gimme Shelter, the album's opening track, warned, "War children, it's just a shot away." Sports in 1969. For football, the New York Jets upset the Baltimore Colts 16-7 in Super Bowl III. Joe Namath, who guaranteed a victory for the Jets, was named MVP. For baseball, in another New York upset, the Miracle Mets defeated the Baltimore Orioles in 5 games. For hockey, the Montreal Canadiens won 4-0 over the St. Louis Blues. What a surprise. Finally, for basketball, the Boston Celtics defeated the Los Angeles Lakers in 7 games. This series pitted 2 of the best big men of all time, Bill Russell for the Celtics and Wilt Chamberlain for the Lakers. Science and technology in 1969. On February 9th, the Boeing 747, at the time the world's largest airplane, made its first flight. On April 16th, the laser printer was invented at Xerox by Gary Starkweather. On July 20th, at approximately 2018 military time, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon. On August 5th, Mariner 7 made its closest flyby of Mars at the time, which was 3,524 kilometers. Finally, on October 29th, the first computer-to-computer message was sent. World events in 1969. On January 27th, 14 men, 9 of them Jews, were executed in Baghdad for spying for Israel. Later, on February 13th, FLQ terrorists bombed the stock exchange in Montreal, Canada. Almost a month later, on March 12th, Russian and Chinese troops clashed alongside the Zhenbao Island. Later, US and USSR engaged in strategic arms limitation talks, agreeing to nuclear disarmament. Finally, Muammar al-Gaddafi deposed King Idris of Libya in a coup d'etat and established a pro-Arab, anti-Western Islamic Republic. U.S. events in 1969. On January 20th, Richard Nixon succeeded Lyndon Johnson as the 37th President of the United States of America. Later in January, an explosion occurred aboard the USS Enterprise near Hawaii, which killed 27 and injured 314. On February 24th, the decision of Tinkerville Des Moines Independent Community School District was announced. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the First Amendment applied to public schools. The Zodiac Killer terrorized the San Francisco Bay Area throughout 1969, striking especially in March and April. The FCC banned all cigarette advertising on television and radio in May. On June 28th, a Stonewall riot in New York City occurred, which marked the beginning of gay rights movement. Finally, on December 1st, a draft lottery for the Vietnam War was held. This was the first draft lottery in the United States since World War II. Things were a lot different in 1969. The average income per year was $8,550. The cost of a new house was only $15,550. However, most surprisingly, gas per gallon was only 35 cents. Imagine that today.